Assalamu alaykum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Give me a thumbs up if the audio is working. I'm not actually capable of checking it at the moment. I could do on the phone, but I might get feedback. Bismillah. Ya Allah. Bismillah. What's going on here? Okay, audio is all good. Fantastic. Ya Allah, Bismillah. Let's get straight into it.
Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are in the present.
By the way, the video has been sped up to 1.5 speed, so I'm going to paste the original to the video in the comment section. So that's the link to the brother's video. I'm also going to paste it in the description box. Ya Allah. Public. Yeah. Save. Okay. Bismillah.
Of a cultural icon, a physical specimen, a controversialist, a master orator, a champ. And we've also got Andrew Tate.
That was smooth. I like that. I was sitting there thinking, I'll take this introduction. I'll take this. But thank you.
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
You're good, yeah? Congratulations on your stand, man.
Thank you, my friend.
You know, the Muslim community really welcomes you, man.
Yeah, it's been pretty divided. I've had a whole bunch of support.
Yes.
Obviously, there's been some people who are not quite pleased about the idea. I think when you have a passionate subject and people that are truly engulfed in an idea, you're going to have some degree of polarization.
I think that maybe when you look in the online space, that might be your impression. But in reality, on the ground, I mean, that's definitely not the case. I would say the vast majority of people, 80, 90%, are completely happy about this. And it's just that the minority have a very loud voice.
Well, that's exactly it. That's the whole problem with the internet as a whole, not just Islam, but the internet as a whole is about vocal minorities that look much larger than they are, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you, and I'd like to hear that. But the reason I know what you're saying is true is because it's the same even in my case in other subjects. Online, I have all this some kind of hate or people trying to disagree with me, but when I walk through life, I have 30,000 interactions with people, and not a single one's ever been negative ever. So it is crazy how the vocal minority is amplified on
the
social
main
media.
thing to note, though, is that Islam, it completely wipes away your sins. I mean, most of the companions of the Prophet had done many things which are heinous and polytheism. I mean, for us as Muslims, polytheism is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
And so there's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad where he states that Islam
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
it destroys everything before. It means it wipes away everything before it. In other words, your slate is absolutely clean. Now, if there are some people who are actually coming and giving you a bit of a hard time, that's actually their problem.
Yeah.
Because in reality, honestly, bro, this is completely un-Islamic. I mean, so that's the first thing. There's actually a verse in the Quran, interestingly enough as well, which says that if you become a Muslim, إِلَّا مَنْ آمَنَ تَابَ وَآمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, whoever repents and believes and does good works, then God will يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. Like God will change their bad deeds into good deeds. So how does that make
Subhanallah. And I was watching a video the other day with my partner. May Allah reward her. This woman, this Christian woman, she goes to Speaker's Corner, and she found a brother who runs a channel on YouTube called The Muslim Lantern. Very humble brother, I won't lie. And what's crazy is she was like gobsmacked because there was some guy there that was getting dawah, yeah, and he just gave her what for, and I feel like that was Allah giving her a slap across the face, so to speak. He abused her, which I don't agree with, but it was the will of Allah. It was meant to happen. That happened to show her that the way she behaves to certain people with her verbal abuse is not okay. Do you know what I mean? I might even show a little snippet of that, inshallah. We'll see. But I digress. What was the original thing here? Oh yeah, the sins are replaced as rewards. Subhanallah. That is the mercy of Allah. And I was also telling my partner something interestingly enough on this topic of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Basically, I feel like Allah's mercy is greater than his wrath. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but we see in many cases where it's the most merciful, the most benevolent, it's always got most. But when it comes to his wrath, I don't know, it's not so aggressive, so to speak. But what you need to understand is that there's a balance. So if he's most merciful, then he's going to be the most vengeful. But he doesn't emphasize on that. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, I digress anyway.
Well, yeah, that's obviously fantastic to hear and good to know. And it's interesting because I've spent very little time paying attention to the negative comments because I don't in general. But on this particular subject, a few people were forwarding me like the profiles of somebody or other people who were unhappy with my conversion, and they weren't living very Islamic lives themselves. So it's kind of funny to look at, you know.
Exactly, bro. I wanted to start with something which I think the whole world wants to hear about, which to be honest with you, affects our sector as people who want to speak about Islam, call people to Islam, defend Islam, have an Islamic voice or a voice for the Muslim people, which is your ban.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, I found it was a vicious attack, a brutal attack on you. It's a case study example now. They put you in the history books. The question is, what grounds have all of these different social media organizations banned you?
They never gave me grounds. They never sent me an official email. They never gave me an official reason. They just delete your profile and you just can't log in anymore. The reason they don't give you an official reason, I think, at the end is because they're scared in a court of law that they're going to be stuck to one reason, right? So if I decide to take them to court, they want to be able to flip flop and make up reasons as they go. They want to change their terms of service and terms and conditions proactively. They want to change it afterwards.
Interestingly enough, these are all traits of the Dajjal, you know that, and all traits of Shaitan. Deception. What Andrew was just talking about, they didn't give him a reason because they want to flip-flop in court so they can get out of it. These are the foot soldiers of Shaitan, I'm telling you.
Not me. I don't know who's this.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
But so they never gave me an official reason for banning me. So I don't truly understand and truly know. I mean, I understand the reason they've come up with. I know that reason is false. I have my own theories on why they banned me, but them themselves have never told me why. They just
for example, YouTube. Most producers know that YouTube have community guidelines, right? And they have copyright strikes. So, for example, if one breaks the rules, if you like, of engagement, then they're given a strike, and then a second strike. And you're telling me that this process was not taken with you?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I had no strikes. When I first got banned, the initial ban was on Meta. It was on Facebook and Instagram. In perfect synchronization was a large press release by the media, which gave this reason to justify banning me, which was, of course, false. And I knew the ban was coming. We can talk about that in a second. But when it first hit, I then, by coincidence, got one strike on my YouTube channel.
Which was a community strike?
It was some strike for some old video about me talking about masks, saying that masks were ridiculous, a COVID-19 strike.
Yeah.
On a very old video. They gave me a strike, which obviously prevents you from posting for 7 days.
Yeah.
So I filmed a reply to my initial ban. And then after 5 days, I think, as the strike was coming to an end, just before I could post, they deleted the whole channel without explanation, without an email, nothing. Just deleted all of it, wiped it off. And the channel wasn't even in my name. That's just what's funny about this. Yes, I was on the channel, but the channel was in the name of the...
So essentially what I feel like happened is they struck one video. When you get one strike, I think you can't go live. When you get a second strike, I believe you can't upload videos, if I'm not mistaken. And on the third strike, your account gets completely suspended or shut down. So yeah, he got nuked on 3 videos, and that was the end of his channel.
Producer. So it wasn't even officially my channel. My brother's channel got wiped. Like, they just attack and just delete everything. And yeah, these community guidelines are so ridiculously vague that they don't even mean anything. Trying to read them is like reading garbage. It doesn't make any sense.
I've been following the arguments online about this kind of thing. Obviously, one of the key tenets, if you like, of Western civilization is freedom of expression and speech. Yeah. And the main counter argument is that, no, but YouTube and all these other companies, they're private companies. But why I would respond to that is that, well, these are private companies, but in many ways, they have a higher ability to uphold freedom of speech and expression than even the governments do. Yeah. So this is actually it's like an Orwellian state. Like, we're looking at something which the thought police. Isn't this concerning that you have these elites, whoever they may be, who can take these arbitrary decisions and delete somebody from YouTube?
Yeah, it's worse than concerning. This is why I talk about the Matrix all the time in my videos. Yeah. And I try and explain that we are living in a false version of reality. We're living in a computer-generated simulation because the computers, which is the social media companies, are generating a version of reality which simply isn't true by deleting one entire side of the argument, by purporting facts which happen to be false, by deleting information which happens to be true.
Just to say, Bismillah, 1 second. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh, the alarm's going off. 1 moment. Bismillah. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right. I agree with him to a certain extent, but the whole we live in a computer simulated reality is a bit much. But I understand what he means by that. A lot of people would misunderstand that, and they'd get the idea of he believes the Matrix, as in you plug in and you plug out and all this madness. No, that's not what he believes. What he believes is that the system itself, like social media, what's the word I'm looking for? AI, like smart technology, has taken control of people's minds. Yeah, which is what certain people would call the Matrix, and I agree with that to a certain extent.
By making sure the algorithms choose what information you see and what you don't see, they're literally affecting the world people live in. And there's people who are walking through the world today with a mindset and a view on life, which is the result of false information, the result of the construction by these social media companies. So we're living inside of a matrix. We're living inside of a very false version of reality.
And that's in many ways, it can be more pernicious than a classic totalitarian state, because at least with a totalitarian state, everyone's being honest about the level of domination. With this kind of thing, it's like, it gives you the illusion of freedom. Do what you want, but then we'll control the narratives in other ways.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think in most totalitarian states, like I don't think freedom of speech exists anywhere on the planet, but I do think inside of some states, you know what you can talk about and you know what you can't talk about, and it's pretty clear, right? If I were to go to Russia, for example, I would know what I could say and what I couldn't say without getting in trouble, right? But in the Western world, we pretend that's not the case. And I think that often they'll let you discuss many different subjects until you get to a certain point of influence. And that's when they get afraid of you. It's not just what you say, it's how powerful your voice is. I think the biggest problem with me is not the things I was saying, it's the fact that I became so monumentally popular. And if you're monumentally popular and you have a huge proportion of the youth and a large contingent of the population which are interested in your words, and you haven't sold your soul to the agenda, then they see, okay, he's a large counteraction to our methods and what we're trying to do here, so we have to go. So I think also you can be the victim of your own success in the Western world.
So let me ask you this final question on this point, which is, you call it the Matrix, we can call it the liberal world order, because the LWO, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's certainly a method of control. They've got their own ideologies, liberalism, for example, second wave feminism, still, they're shoving it in our faces. And obviously you've said things which are totally antithetical to that, which in many ways could be argued to be the reason why they banned you, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm against this whole idea of liberalism and tolerance as a whole, because one, it's hypocritical because these people are not liberal and tolerant. The people who are talking about liberalism and tolerance, they want us all to look different but think the same. If you think differently, then you're instantly a bad guy, right? They love the idea of someone looking different so they can pretend they're diverse and tolerant, but they want you to say the same things and believe the same things. As soon as you step outside of their pre-approved script, instantly they're no longer tolerant and they're no longer interested in diversity of thought. So the first thing is very hypocritical. And secondly, I've learned in life that the easiest way to get people to accept bad things is to do it with a Trojan horse. You find some way to disguise it. Even the Senate does this. Even governments do this. They'll say, the green bill, this is to save the environment. And then somewhere on page 84 will be this little code about giving them all a pay rise. And you don't want to look at the bad guy who says no to saving the environment, and they just sneak it in, right? So it's very difficult. If you vote against saving the environment, you're terrible. And the media talks about how you didn't want to save the environment, and you have to sit there and try and explain on page 84, the MPs are trying to get an extra 45% money, and you're already on a back foot. And this is how they do it. They do everything with Trojan horses, and it doesn't matter what you want to name. Even agendas that are pure of heart, simple things, they end up being weaponized and Trojan, like you just said, second wave feminism and liberalism, all this crazy stuff. But the number one most dangerous one is this idea of tolerance. To sit and talk about being tolerant sounds like such a good thing that it's very difficult for someone to sit and say, no, I am an intolerant person. Now you look bad. But when they say tolerance and push tolerance to the point where absolute degeneracy must be accepted, then you're a better person to not be tolerant. You can't be tolerant of degeneracy. You can't be tolerant of your own children seeing things they shouldn't see. You can be tolerant of the destruction of society. If they're going to sit here and say that, no, tolerance is the best thing ever, and then Trojan horse it and destroy the way humans interact, then I don't think tolerance is a good thing.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They've hijacked the phrase and they've used it in their own context. There's one particular political thinker, his name is Mumbai. He said something very interesting. He said that the West has not acted morally consistent. They've only acted strategically consistent. And so it's tolerance when it's within your own borders or within a certain subsect of people, but then it becomes whatever it becomes, a colonizing mission or civilizing mission when it comes to the Iraq War, for example.
Completely. If you look at all of Western foreign policy, I mean, they'll talk about we need democracy, we care about freedom. They come up with all this garbage, but the truth is they'll support any side they want to support, regardless of whether they're Democratic, regardless of what team they're on. They don't you absolutely nailed it. It's just about strategy at the time, and they have no true morals or true moral fiber. They'll just sit there and go, what's the strategical best decision, and they'll get it done. And yeah, that's Western foreign policy, and I think it's the same across basically the entire Western world. But this idea, when I hear people talking about tolerance, it just when I hear it, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to say this is evil, this is bad, but you're intolerant because you don't like evil, and there has to be a point where you stand up as a man, and society stands up and says, yes, I'm intolerant of certain things. If someone broke into my house and tried to just start making dinner, I'd be like, whoa, who are you? Like, be tolerant. No, I will not be. Who the fuck is this guy? It depends on what food is cooking. Well, I mean, there has to be a line in the sand. And the reason they keep talking about tolerance, diversity, inclusion, tolerance is not because they care about different people of different races or different beliefs. Certainly not beliefs, because you're not allowed a different belief. That's the number one thing. But it's because they want you to just sit down and swallow the pill and allow yourself to be brainwashed and not stand up for anything. That's all they want.
Isn't it ironic that they use tolerance as a way to try and manipulate you?
Completely. That's exactly what they try to do. In fact, and you know, it's funny. I'm trying to think of an idea which is purported and accelerated by the mainstream media machine that isn't an attempt on manipulation. Like every single thing that they jump behind and they try so hard to get you to believe in is a manipulation attempt. I'm trying to think of one that isn't. Why else would they waste their screen time? Like, you know, they're sitting there. These people are smart enough to understand that the internet's coming and people are spending more time on independent medias and people are learning more information from each other. And they're slowly, I mean, I don't want to go into the subject. We can talk about the last few years. They still have a grip on the world because they proved it, right? But with the common cold. But still, they're sitting there going, okay, we have this mass media machine. The average person only watches 6 minutes of our propaganda a day. They can't waste those 6 minutes, my friend. Like, they need to go, what's our agendas? Let's get to the point. What do we need people to believe about X, Y, Z? They can't be sitting there telling us the truth. That's a total waste of time.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you now, because this is the hot topic, especially in the Muslim community, about your conversion. So tell us the story, like what happened exactly.
Well, I think a lot of people who've been following me for a while understand I've been very respectful of Islam for a long time. Sure. I was born in a Christian country. I was raised as a Christian, and I've always been very respectful of Islam. And it's become more and more obvious to me and more and more pertinent that Islam is the last religion on the planet. When I talk about Islam, because I'm new to it, I'm a little bit careful, right? Because I'm new to it. I'm certainly not a scholar. There's so much I need to learn. I know I'm on a learning journey. I'm not here to sit there and talk scripture. I don't know those things yet. I'm here to learn. But
and we're here at your assistance.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. But it's just, for me, it feels like the last religion on earth. I feel like there's no other religion. People say to me, why did you convert? And I said, I don't really feel it as a conversion. It's almost like I knew God was real and now I've become religious. And they say, well, you were religious before. I was like, religious before how? Christian? What does Christian mean? Like, who's not a Christian? You go to Christian nations and everyone says they're a Christian. Look how they live their lives. Go into the average church. Is anyone actually fearful of God? Anybody? No. The girls are out on Saturday night drinking and they turn up to church because their parents made them. Like, there's no substance to the religion. And also, Islam very closely reflects my personal beliefs. Through my personal life, I've learned that if you don't have standards and you're not a strong person who's prepared to defend his ideas, you'll be crushed. And we look at most religions in the world today, which are not prepared to defend their ideas. What's happened to them? They're just getting crushed. And now we have Christianity as an idea, which has basically said, well, we can't set any firm rules because everyone will just quit. So instead, let's make it so easy to be a Christian that nobody has to put any effort in, and then accept everybody no matter what. And hopefully we can keep the church doors open. That's not God to me. You know? God to me is strong. God to me is something to be feared. God to me is someone that people are afraid to mock. God to me is someone that you have to go out of your way to prove something to. God to me has red lines. Like, God to me represents the Islamic faith. The Christian God to me, I don't see God. I can't explain. I don't see anything there. So to me, it was the only logical choice in the end.
Alhamdulillah, man. I mean, as you're saying this, I'm sure many people are like ecstatic and extremely happy. It's a great thing for everyone, honestly, because, you know, just anyone coming into Islam is you know, the Prophet Muhammad told us better than the world and everything in it. So imagine now somebody with major influence. I mean, you're the most Googled person on the planet. I'm not sure if he's still.
I think Putin might have beat me as of last week, but I think it's between me and Putin at the moment. But I don't want to lose to Putin. Putin's the big G. I don't want more enemies. Like, it's fine, Vladimir. You can have it.
I never thought I'd hear you saying that statement.
Yeah.
Putin beat me last year.
I think we're certainly the most Googled.
But no, it's definitely something beautiful, and a lot of people have. You know, you'd be surprised at how many women as well. Like, because obviously the accusations of misogyny stuff. You know, but a lot of women, alhamdulillah, especially in the Muslim world, they're absolutely happy. In fact, let me tell you a story. Just before I came here today,
Bismillah. Why didn't it pause?
She's working as a school teacher.
Bismillah. How is the audio? Are you getting any echo? Out of curiosity, I've got 2 viewers. Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward you both with the highest level of Jannah al-Firdaus. Ameen. Yeah, how's the audio? Do we have any echo or anything of that nature? Inshallah, it's not echoing.
In London. And actually, my friend told me that she was kicked out of school because they had this campaign against you in the schools. I'm not sure if you're aware of it.
I've seen, this was part of the cancellation. I did know about this.
Yeah, so in British schools, they said, you know, if you say anything good about this person, or you have to report it or prevent it, and if you say anything, you know, you have to kind of combat his extremism or whatever it may be, right? So because when you became Muslim, she abstained from doing that. She said, I can't really do that because, you know, Islamic laws and it's backbiting and it's got honor in Islam and so on. And unfortunately, they fired her from that position. Wow. So you can see that this is the level of encroachment we're talking about here.
SubhanAllah, the sister got fired from work for not backbiting someone. SubhanAllah.
So, and this shows you that the level of fraternity that exists, and not only the fact that, you know, when you're looking at Twitter or whatever social media, it's not a representation of what's really happening.
Of course. And I mean, that's crazy to hear. And what's most crazy is, the fervor behind this idea that I'm somehow extremist is truly clown world. Like, I've sat as a professional and analyzed my content and understood which things can be taken out of context and which things were said in a way perhaps they shouldn't have been said before I was massively famous. But we have to sit here and understand that if you take anybody on the planet and give them 7 years of YouTube and then they decide and they blow up big, you're gonna be able to find 30 to 45 seconds of clip across all those years that can be taken out of context, right? And it's truly crazy because they sit and say, oh yeah, but you know, the young boys are watching your stuff and they don't truly understand all of it, and there's nuance that's missing. And my argument is very simple. My argument is, well, one, you're taking small clips out of context, and two, there's not a single piece of content on the internet that 14-year-old boy can't misunderstand. Name someone who's producing content on the internet that you would be 100% happy for a 14-year-old to
drill artists. And so they say, I mean, I live in an area I'm not going to mention the names of the artists, but they're talking about going to this person's house and killing him.
In the middle of a knife crime epidemic. We have Lil Nas twerking on having sex with the devil in his music videos. Like, we're going to sit here and talk about how children can be.
Wow, he sent shots. Bismillah. Is this gonna work if I do this? No, it's not. Okay, no problem. I'll be able to share the screen, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to show you something. The person that he just mentioned. I'm only going to show you a picture. I'm not going to go too deep. Bismillah. Oh, assalamu alaykum. Present. Share. Screen 1. Yeah, this is the person that he was talking about. Yeah, and look at this tawbah, astaghfirullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Grinding on shaitan. These are the people that get airtime. This person is also a musician of some sort, supposedly. Anyone who listens to this guy's music is just purely confused. However, look at this. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Ameen. Salam, the humble servant. Pop in. On YouTube. What's that about then, Aki? Assalamu alaikum, Joe. Or should I say wa alaikum salam? Let's go to YouTube. What was it you wanted to search for, Aki? Oops. $27th of November, yeah? So this one. It says up and coming, Aki. At 6 p.m., inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Six hours ago. This one. The second one down, yeah? I'm assuming you mean this one. Joe. Joe. Give me a heads up, Joe.
The full Quran, it also has the translation and tafsir in it.
Now, if a person, as we said, if you're reading
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What is this now? SubhanAllah, there's quite a few sheikhs there, isn't it? I don't bother down you to try everything best for you. What's going on? What, they're trying to unify the ummah? Up and coming. I don't understand what's up. You talking about this one? 6 p.m. on the today 6 p.m. No. So what will you want me to watch that? Inshallah ta'ala, I'll watch it. And that's why I've made you a middle nation to be witness over mankind. SubhanAllah. There was a video. Where is it? I was talking about this earlier. This. Where is she? This brother, may Allah reward him with the highest level of Jannah, Jannatul Firdaus. Like, he's so humble. It's unreal. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. Listen, there's going to be some swearing, and I don't know how to mute that. So forgive me for that reason. And I don't condone this, but I'm just going to show you that everything happens through the permission and the will of Allah. If you behave a certain way, yeah, you reap what you sow. This is the truth. There's no two ways about it. My partner doesn't like this woman. It's for the simple fact of she lies a lot. Yeah, so let's listen.
Why are you lying? What? Excuse me, why are you lying about the four wives? You just said that Islam doesn't teach that you can have...
Do you want to have a discussion with me?
Can I ask you one question? Why did you lie?
I'm asking you a question first. Do you want to have a discussion with me?
I want to have a discussion, but I would like to... you talk about...
Do you want... No, you shouldn't curse.
Look, did you hear him? Hello, you shouldn't curse. Even the brother, he knows he's trying to defend him, but he's telling him you shouldn't curse. And I agree with him. He shouldn't be cursing, regardless of what the person is saying on the other end.
And you don't want to freaking touch it.
Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them.
I'm Hindu, yeah?
You're Hindu. I understand.
People can't come here.
Yeah. And force their beliefs on other people, isn't it? I know they have some sort. Yes. No, actually, I think they've been coming here for you a few times. They're looking for me. You know, I don't know why they're looking for me. If you're looking for me, sorry.
All the places of the world they come to this. The Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I want to ask you, but
yeah, but you can't do all this. You know what I mean? What curse them for what? For preaching their own religion? Are you mad? Yeah, you're causing problems in this world. All you lot, you are. No, man, I don't give a damn.
he's handling it. Don't worry about it. I'll talk to her. Don't worry.
Amy, is that her name? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I don't follow these people, wacky. I won't lie.
So you want to talk to me? You said, right?
I will, but I would rather he leaves because he makes me feel uncomfortable.
He's a Hindu brother. I don't control him. I don't have authority over him. This is a public place. I cannot say to him, leave.
We're Indian. We're all the same color, yeah? We look after each other.
No, he's not Indian. He's Arab.
This is the same color. This is the same color.
We're the same color. We are the same color. Go away, man. Fuck off.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll see you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
Toba. He shouldn't be swearing every 2 seconds, though.
your time.
Sorry, I'm a bit shaken up by it.
You see? Allah made her experience that, because watch how she started the conversation.
What? Excuse me, why are you lying about the four wives? You just said that Islam doesn't teach that you can have...
Do you want to have a discussion with me?
Can I ask you one question? Why did you lie?
I'm asking you a question first. Do you want to have a discussion with me?
I want to have a discussion, but I would like to... you talk about...
You
touch me, please, thank you.
No, you shouldn't curse.
So she came in very aggressive. If you notice, listen again.
What? Excuse me, why are you lying about...
Hands moving into people, like getting into people's personal space. But then when someone else does the same thing to her, she feels uncomfortable. Allah is always watching. Always watching. It's mad. But yeah, let's get back to this, inshallah.
Impressionable young children, and I'm sitting there saying there's no way I'm the worst person on the internet.
No,
That's not why they're deleting
the
me.
difference for them is, as you've mentioned, on those fronts, it doesn't matter to them because it's like, okay, they're consuming our hedonistic products or whatever it is. It doesn't change their worldview. Whereas what you're saying is ideological now. You're challenging the status quo of the LW, of the liberal world order. You're challenging second wave feministic notions. You're challenging some liberal notions. You're challenging ideas, commonplace ideas of tolerance. And George Orwell said it very well. He said that the more a society moves away from the truth, the more it hates people who speak it.
Absolutely, and you're right. And I think even the basic things I teach, because some people have said to me, Andrew, all you teach about is personal responsibility, motivation, working hard, getting up and doing the right thing. I said, that's the absolute, those are the things they're most afraid of. If you teach people to have standards for themselves and to be morally strong people and to know right from wrong, then they can't brainwash you.
Yeah.
So that's what they're most afraid of. They're most afraid of young men waking up and going, no, I don't believe that. You have to believe it. No, I don't believe it. I don't want to. And I want to go do this. I want to go to the gym and be strong, or I want to believe X, or I want to be a moral person. They genuinely have a problem with baseline morality.
Yes.
Understand? When some people recognize when I converted to Islam that there was a time I was an atheist. There was a time when I was atheistic. And the reason I am now so absolutely certain that God is real is because I've seen evil. I've seen shaitan. I've seen it. When you see enough.
See that's a big statement to make, you know. I've seen shaitan. And what scares me is that he's on that level of, he was on that level of eliteness that certain people who associate with shaitan were. And for me, when him coming out and saying that is quite disturbing. And there's something else I want to show you while we're on the topic of shaitan. Watch this. Oh, what was their name? Listen, these things are no joke, you know. These things get mentioned, but they don't get no airtime. They don't get no airtime, and there's reasons they don't get no airtime, because his shaitan has played the biggest trick on humanity, and that is to prove, to make people think that he does not exist. Because if he does not exist, he believes that humanity would believe that that God doesn't exist. Do you get it? Tawbah astaghfirullah. Watch this though.
And etc. Ended up putting it out that got Guinness World Record highest charting independent album ever, and that's when the check come. So then now the labels want to have a conversation, and it's like, how are these guys in the charts and we don't know who they are? What we need them. So
let's put subtitles on as well, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah.
Meetings, etc. And one of the songs is connected somehow virally again, and the Americans are talking about "Don't Waste My Time," and they want to link that.
So how was that for you, like going in and sitting with the record label and saying, we want this?
I'll be honest with you, that was like the hardest part of our career, and it's had a domino effect. Like I feel like it's taught us a lot. And then when we're sitting down with the lawyer's like, sign it. No matter what it is, just sign it, because they're not signing no one. Just take the check, take the money, just sign it. Like it was a bit pressurish, and I'm like, why is he like pressuring me like that? Like, I didn't really like that. And I'll be honest, I've never told this story before, and I feel like I'm just gonna say it because I feel like you should know. Anyway, when we signed it, before we signed it though, I was a bit off on it, and because the pressure was a bit much, it was like, sign it. And I remember speaking to my old manager, right? And no, if I'm lying, I'm flying. He's phoned me, we're in the studio, and I put him on loudspeaker, old manager, and he's like, yeah, like, what are you lot thinking about the deal? We're like, yeah, we want to sign it, but we want to wait and see what happens. And, like, on God's manager, his voice changed in like a demon's voice. Sign the deal, sign it now, sign it. I got so shook, I threw my phone on the floor. If I'm lying, I'm flying.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. You see how the jinn manifested in him. He got excited. Wanted them to sign shaitan's contract.
Sign it, but we want to wait and see what happens. And, like, on God's manager, his voice changed in like a demon's voice. Sign the deal, sign it now, sign it. I got so shook, I threw my phone on the floor. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Wallahi. And me and Crep were staring at the phone on the floor, like, what the fuck? His voice just changed into like a gremlin. And all he kept saying, sign the deal, sign the deal, sign the deal. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I dropped the phone and stepped back like this, and we're just staring at the phone for about 3 minutes. Like,
Subhanallah. And you're saying, Wallahi, Aki, if you sign that deal, may Allah have mercy on your soul, bro. May Allah have the highest level of mercy on your soul. You see them ones there? That's not no joke thing out here, Ak. That's not no joke thing. Nah.
I'm like, did you hear that, bro? He's like, yeah, bro, like, what the fuck's that? Like, that's mad. So I picked up the phone and I phoned back my manager, like, yo, bro, like, what happened to your voice, bro? He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, bro, your voice changed, bro. He's like, what are you talking about? So from then I was a bit, yeah, this is a bit funny. Ended up signing the deal anyway, but I was like 5 hours late.
I'm not gonna say what I want to say because I know it's not true. So I'm gonna say the truth by the permission of Allah. The doors of repentance are always open. The doors of repentance are always open. For real. Like I've been through some madness. That's the only way of describing it. Madness. And subhanallah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. By the will of Allah and by his favor, because it's him that chooses who he guides, I've embraced the deen again. And I've embraced it stronger than before. You know, so don't give up on his mercy, man. If anyone sees this video and they know these brothers, send it to them, man. Send it to them. Do everything in your power to smash that contract to pieces, get rid of it, whatever you can. For real. Look at the state of these peoples. Look at this. Look at this. Man's got a pentagram on the shoe bowl. Luke 10:18. He replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. These people got no soul whatsoever, man. State of them. Shaitan, bruv.
Evil, you realize that there must be an equal and opposite force. And there are people out there in the world today doing the work of the devil, genuine demons, who are trying to destroy the baseline morality that's inside of all of us. We're all born with some kind of morality, and they're trying to destroy it. And
The ones we were basically just looking at. Literally.
That's exactly the Islamic understanding. That we believe that you're born with something called fitrah, which is the initial goodness. You're born with an innate belief, receptivity to believe in one God. Yeah. And then that is corrupted. In fact, there's a prophet, hadith of the prophet where he says, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every born child is born upon this initial goodness. فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أَوْ يُنَصَّرَانِهِ أَوْ يُمَجِّسَانِهِ. And then his father and mother or his parents, they socialize him into Christianity, Judaism, Magiism. So the idea is that everyone is born with this initial goodness and this initial will or want to believe in God, one God. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, it's what you're mentioning here is really profound, because you're mentioning a central doctrine in Islam.
But it's and this is why perhaps I found God the way I did, because I understood all these things first, and then I saw the Quran and it confirmed so many things for me. Like even the conversations I've been having so far, so many things have been confirmed, and it's amazing the knowledge that's inside of it, which is so applicable today for an old book, right? It's supposed to be old, but it seems so timeless. But it's truly amazing. But you're totally right. And the baseline morality, I don't think most people understand that when they're doing this under the guise of tolerance, when they're saying be so tolerant that you no longer believe in right from wrong, they're not doing that to make society a better place. They're doing that to empty your brain so that you have no resistance to the slave mind programming. They want to get you to a point where if they tell you the sky is green, you look at it with your own eyes and you see blue, but no, the sky is green. That's what they want. So that you have to have nothing in your brain that can prevent that. If you have God, if you have no, I believe this is right and wrong, if you have personal responsibility, if you have self-accountability, if you're a person who sticks up for what he believes, all that's bad to them. They want all of that gone so they can tell you the sky is green. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want the stream to end, but they're going to tell you something much worse than the sky is green. They're going to tell you something else, and they're trying to program us all into slaves. And
I remember when I was in my undergraduate days, and I was reading a particular book by this guy called Jeremy Bentham, who became the spiritual forefather of J.S. Mill, who is the father of social liberalism of today. And I remember reading this because it was so powerful, because it linked to something I read in the Quran. He said that you have two gods. He said you have the God of pain and you have the God of pleasure. And I thought, this is so interesting. The Quran states, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who takes his own desires as a God? And because now there is no transcendental force that we can look up and as you say, venerate, now we're forced to be slaves to the system, to our own desires. Or, the Quran has another verse which I think is so powerful and it connects very well with what you're saying. It says, God ضرب الله مثلا رجلا, that God has struck a parable of a man. فيه شركاء متشاكسون, that he's got many different slave owners. ورجل سلما لرجل, and another kind of man who's only got one slave owner. God is basically telling us in the Quran that you've got one example of one individual who's got multiple slave owners and another one with just one. It says, هل يستويان مثلا, are they the same? So here, the idea is, as Rousseau said, he's a liberal philosopher, he said that man is born free, but everywhere in chains. This is the order, because if you don't have that God to worship, then you're going to end up having to worship to everything else. And the whole part of the Shahada which you took, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, the true meaning of that, La ilaha illallah, is that there is no God worthy of worship except for one God.
Yep.
Which means that your desires or the system or these people that want to control us, the problem is they're not worthy of worship. The only one worthy of our subordination and submission is the creator of the heavens and the earth. There's no one else.
I agree, and I completely agree, and I've agreed with this for the longest time. You know, I've never been to like a music concert, and people ask me why, and I said, I just look at it and I feel embarrassed. I look at someone up on a stage dancing around, and I look at hundreds of thousands of peasants in the crowd. Just yeah. I'm like, it's embarrassing. I feel cringe. It's like secondhand embarrassment.
They're literally worshipping that person, that musician. It's crazy.
When I see these festivals and everyone's losing their mind, or these music concerts, I genuinely feel embarrassed for the people who go, because to me that is a form of worship. Like, you can listen to the music at home for free. You don't have to wait in that line and stand out in the cold. Like, I don't know. Perhaps it was a bit extreme, but I've always known that they're trying to give us false idols to some degree. And when I speak to atheists, they go, oh, I don't believe in God. But they've signed up so hard to the liberal woke agenda. They're as religious as anybody, but they're just believing in the wrong things. They're believing in degeneracy. They're believing in the work of the devil. So humans always need something to believe in. And it's a great thing you said about your own desires. It's like, one guy I was talking to since my conversion says, it's interesting that somebody with everything, all the Western world, everything somebody could want has now converted. And I said, yeah, because even before my conversion, I understood that hedonism is a black hole and you can never fill it. You're never going to be able to have enough girls to be happy with girls. You're never going to be able to have enough money to be happy with money. You're never going to be able to, drink enough to be happy with drinking. Like, it's a black hole and you can pour endless things down it, but you'll never fill it up. And you need to have some degree of self-restraint. And I've always been a very disciplined person. I've never made mistakes, but certainly, the higher power is going to give you more satisfaction in your heart than endless insanity.
Absolutely, because I did see a clip of you making the same point. You were saying that, I've done all of these things. Because the accusation is, well, you are the poster child of heathenism, right? This guy, you're talking about
Which, sorry to interrupt you, but what's annoying about that is I'm absolutely not. That's what's so annoying about that, because I know so many people of my net worth.
The English came out in him there. I'm absolutely not.
I will sit here and say, on the podcast before everybody and before God, voila. Never slept with a prostitute or paid for sex in my life. I don't gamble. I've never taken a drug in my life, never tried steroids, never tried weed, never tried cocaine ever in my life, ever. Never. Like, I drank a bit of alcohol, smoked some shisha, smoked some cigars, and spent most of my life as an athlete, working hard, 12, 14-hour days making money. I look after my family. So for me to be, they go, you're the poster boy of hedonism. I say, I know so many people who do so much worse than me. I really don't.
Listen, all right, they do worse than you, Aki. But the point here is that the reason I feel like Brother Mo said you was the poster boy of hedonism was because you had a webcam business, like you was a pimp. You was a digital pimp, Aki. That's what he meant by that. And you said some really profound things about women. You did some really interesting things, or profound things, I should say.
I don't do that much. I'm not gambling.
And from our perspective, if you've done all of that, your slate is clean,
which is amazing. But it's just incredible to me that, especially at my level of net worth, right? I grew up in Luton poor on a council estate, and now I'm pretty financially successful. And once you get past this line and you meet these other people who are as rich as I am, they get a boat, they put 100 girls on it who are paid for, a big pile of cocaine. I don't do any of them things. Like, I'd stand by and say I'm one of the, for a man with a bunch of money from a council estate, I'm as pretty behaved as you can possibly hope for. So,
see what I feel like Andrew didn't understand, or maybe still doesn't understand. Allahu Alam, God knows best. But from my interpretation, I feel like he doesn't understand that he was worshipping money. He was literally worshipping money. He's God, Toba Hasha, was money. Do you get it? It wasn't the women. He used the women to get to the money.
I feel that in you. Obviously, you were in your previous life, you were the world champion in kickboxing. That requires a certain level of restriction, discipline, and these kinds of things. I do think that this is kind of like a misconception. I mean, people think that it's part of your marketing. It's probably self-induced marketing. It's part of your marketing engineering strategy that you've engineered yourself as, this is my life. But in reality, though, is it fair for me to say that if something doesn't have proper meaning and purpose for you, you won't really enjoy it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, in fact, the number one thing I hear from people who meet me in person is, I've had so many people meet me and they're like, you surprised me. I'm like, why? Like, you just work and you just sit on your phone, or you just work on your laptop, and like they thought I'd be this crazy guy running around being crazy, and they realize I'm extremely restrained. I'm very careful about everything I do.
What's your routine like?
Okay, so it's a good question. So I wake up whatever time that happens to be.
What time do you wake up?
I have a problem sleeping.
Okay.
I'm not good at sleeping. I really struggle with it. So I can maybe get 5 to 6 hours a night, maybe. And the reason I can't sleep is because if my brain is even semi-conscious, I'm thinking of a work or some problem I have to fix, and then I end up on my phone, and then I can't sleep. That's how it works. So I can give perfect examples. Like there's even before this podcast, I knew I had to be up. I had to go doctor's at 8, and I had to come to this podcast. So I said last night, let me try and
Subhanallah. Is this at 1.5 or not? Wow. Did these brothers talk that slow? Or is it just me? Do you feel like it's quick? I feel like they're talking slow.
go to bed a little bit early. I tried to go to bed at 11, and then I woke up to go to the toilet at 2:25 a.m. And then I was thinking about some construction in my house in Romania and some invoices that I hadn't seen yet. And then by the time I messaged my assistant, that now I'm awake.
Yeah.
So I've been awake since 2. Like I can't turn my brain off. I struggle with it, right? So I'm not good at sleeping. But let's say I wake up around 9-ish, but I go to bed usually around 3, 4. First thing I do is drink 2 liters of water. Then I train. Every day I train for about 30. I train for about 30 to 45 minutes a day. I don't train.
What is it? What kind of training?
It depends where I am because I travel so much.
Right.
So if I'm in hotels, you kind of got to do what you can do, right?
Okay.
So mainly it's weights now. I don't box as often because it's inconvenient. Like if I was training for a fight, it's different. And I was sparring a couple days ago. I still got the move. No one can hit me, so I've still got it. But so usually about 45 minutes, I tear through a bunch of weights. I just go as crazy as I can, get that out of the way. Bunch of coffee. I'm a coffee addict, I guess. I don't know if that's still allowed. I hope so. But okay, good. Because I love caffeine. I believe caffeine's a miracle drug. So I'll have 2 or 3 coffees and another 2 liters of water. I only eat dinner every day. I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat lunch. And then from there, it's just completing tasks. I have something to do. I have a podcast with you to do, or I have somewhere to go, or I have to go. Maybe sometimes it'll be something good, like pick up a new car or a new watch. But if not, I promise you now, I spend every waking second on my laptop staring at my phone. Running Empire. That's all I do is work. Life to me is work. Life to me is work at the point now. Sleeping's work. I only sleep because if I don't sleep, I wouldn't be able to work. If I could work without sleeping, I wouldn't sleep. People look at my life and they, especially you're right with the marketing, they see the cars, they see the boats, they see girls, etc. And they're like, oh wow, he's living this crazy life. And then they get around me and realize that, yeah, we're on a boat, yeah, there's hot girls, yeah, it's y'all, but I'm on my laptop and I'm working. That's it. That's all I want to do is run the empire because it gives me a sense of purpose. So it sounds boring to say, but all I do is work, my friend. That's it. Well, that's it. When I finish this, we'll talk, we'll have a bit of food, etc. I'll get in the car, I'll go back, and I will work until my next appointment. That's it. Just work. That's all I do. So it's kind of funny because people say to me like, what's the secret to getting rich? And I'm like, it's easy if you don't do anything else but work. Like I don't have any. My only I'm trying to think of what even hobby I have. I love. What is the secret of getting rich? That's a good question. That's a good question. We live in an attention economy. So I think stage 1 is certainly attention. Stage 2 is once you have that attention, establishing credibility. And then stage 3, once you've established your credibility, is finding a way to genuinely improve people's lives. The reason I do so fantastically well is because everybody who's ever followed me or tried any of the things I talk about, their life gets better. So it's very easy to say, oh, I've tried Tate's program and my life's better, or I tried this, I followed Tate and I feel happier. So then of course they're going to understand the brand and that's the way to do it. But truly it's hard work. You need to be able to work endless hours. It's extremely competitive. You need to be able to work as harder than the other guys. And that's the only way I did it. I ground to the top the old fashioned way, and that's still what I do. I just work.
So with this, basically, I'll say that, in terms of your routine, Islamically, the main thing to focus next on will be the prayers, 5 prayers a day, right? And so that's obviously 1 in the morning, and then you'll have like prayer times and stuff like that. We have to do ablution, and then I saw you kind of praying. That was
I'm learning it, and and I've been told the times, and I've got all this, and I'm going through all that, and I have to incorporate that as well.
It gives you a solid structure. I feel like it gives you anchorage in the day. It's the spine of my personal day. I feel like it just creates that structure in the day, and it's a spiritual thing. I mean, even the prayer itself, when one prays and they say Allahu Akbar, which is Allah is the greatest. Some people think it's some kind of war. They do it in war as well. I mean, to be fair, but they say Allahu Akbar, meaning Allah is greater than everything else, this whole world and everything. And then when they start engaging in prayer, then what you're doing is you're trying to, in a sense, get out of the zone of being in this world, connect with God, ask God for guidance. And we do that very consistently because we feel like, the belief is that guidance is in God's hands, and so doing that, spiritually cleansing, for me, it's the most important thing that one can do in the whole day. So that, in terms of your structure, that would be the thing that you put in next. But I wanted to ask you about something else now, which I think is something you're known for as well, in terms of speaking about these things, is your gender positions. Okay, so this is what, a lot of people have controversy with you, accuse you of misogyny and all these kinds of things. I mean, let's say now, maybe after you become Muslim or even before, what are your views on, how would you summarize your views on gender?
I would summarize my views on gender by being very simple and stating the fact that I think that the genders are different. I think we have different strengths and weaknesses. I think men are better at some things than women. I think women are better at some things than men. I think when we work together as a team, that makes us the most powerful force on the planet. I think the biggest problems with the world today is that everybody is trying to pretend that they're interchangeably as good as each other at the same things, and that's destroying the teamwork. It's very simple. If I was an accountant and I met a tailor, I'd say, okay, you make the clothes, I'll do the accounting. And then as a team, we have a very profitable business, right? If we were to turn up and we were to decide, you know what, I'll do half the accounting and you do half the accounting, and you do half the tailors and I do half the tailors, where our tax bill will be a mess, the jackets won't fit, it'll all fall apart. I don't know why it's so confusing for people to sit there and understand and go, yeah, women have certain strengths and weaknesses, men have certain strengths and weaknesses, and when we both understand them, both accept them, and work as a team, then we're a complete package. And this is why God created us to be different. If we were exactly the same, we wouldn't need each other. This is what makes us need each other. This is why we need each other. That's right. And this is what people don't understand when they sound misogynistic or I say bad things. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm talking about the differences between men and women, so people understand that men need women and women need men. And that's what creates beautiful families. That's what keeps society functioning. And as soon as you point out the differences between the two genders, they're going to attack you because they don't want men and women to need each other. That's one of the things they really don't want, because the number one thing that will inspire you to resist against total tyranny is protection of your family. They don't want the family unit in terms of the nuclear family, because otherwise when they come to your door, the devils and the demons, you're going to stand up and say, no, my wife and children are inside. They don't want that. They want you to just be hedonistic and not really have anything of value and nothing worth fighting for and defending, because then you'll accept the slave programming, accept whatever they want you to do. But
while we're on the topic of hedonism, I was looking with the missus. That's funny. Which one? What was it called? I'm sure you all know about the whole child pornography and that. I'm not going to show those images. I wanted to show you something else. Balenciaga, what was it? Let's try this again. There's a particular photo shoot, and it's not the one with the children involved. It's a different photo shoot. Let's have a look. Come on, where is it? It might even be in my search. It's not. That's interesting. Why is that not in my search history? They make it disappear, beg our them, literally. So this was we're getting closer to it now. I can. Oh no, you're joking. It doesn't go any further back than that. Okay. I got this. What day would that have been? That would have been like 2 days ago. Ah! You son of a... They think they can get away from me. They can't, mate. Right, so this lady here exposed them, yeah? Her name is Natalie Denise, I believe. So this is a photo shoot. I believe a Balenciaga photo shoot. Yeah. Don't know if you can see that clear enough. There's this pile of books in the back. And what you need to understand with these photo shoots, everything that is there for a purpose. Okay? It's not just there because, oh, it looks nice, it looks pretty. No. No. It serves a purpose. It's a message to people who understand that message. So let's have a look at the zoomed in version of this, yeah? Michael Boromans, yeah? So we do a little search on who this Michael Boromans is, yeah? Look at this. These are children. Why is a child playing with a hand? Please explain that to me. Watch. Why is this artist associated with a big name brand like Balenciaga? Why is his book an autobiography? I don't know what it is. What is it? Like, why is that in this photo shoot? Please explain that to me. Why? Why is this book here? Like, whose office is this? Whose desk is this? These are questions that people need to start asking, man.
A person eating its own hand. A man lying on the floor wearing a red and monumental.
Wait, what? What does it say? The devil's dress. Yeah? I'm going to tell you from the jump. This guy is what is called a sadist. Okay? He gets pleasure, like, when I say pleasure, I mean literally sexual satisfaction out of people being humiliated. That's what this artist is. And you can see that from his artwork. Because art is a way of someone expressing themselves.
Monumental wooden dress. And cones dressed in colored fabric. The enigmatic world of Michael Boromans is the perfect place.
So this is Michael Boromans, who's associated with Balenciaga somehow.
To get lost. So let's. This is Michael Boromans, a complete and chronological overview.
There's something about this guy that just doesn't sit right with me.
Michael Boromans, born in Gerardsbergen in 1963, is a contemporary artist residing and working in Ghent, Belgium. Boromans is best known for his contemporary surrealism and figurative paintings, marked by beauty, the absurd, and a strongly conceptual foundation. What first seems to be an absurd painting of a person eating its own hand, what one might call deliberate and random nonsense, is in fact a reference to the conceptual artist Vito Acconci. And sometimes, the painting only references to itself, as a beautiful lie. Think of the painting, Man Holding His Nose from 2007. People who lie often hold their noses a lot. Boromans creates an indirect self-portrait of the painter as a creator of lies. The Belgian artist is trained as a draftsman, printmaker, and photographer, before taking on painting in the 1990s. Besides painting, the Belgian artist also works in film, sculpture, installation.
This guy is just off.
Besides painting, the Belgian artist also works in film, sculpture.
Okay.
Installation, and very recently photography was added to this list.
This is the third time I'm watching this now, and I've just remembered. I want to look into this book that's being mentioned. La Pientiero Fran something. I need to take a screenshot of this real quick. Bear with me, everyone. That's it.
He is self-taught as a painter, with Velázquez and Caravaggio as his teachers, combining a Baroque painterly technique with a highly conceptual subject matter. Boromans examines the human condition. He tries to create a conflict within the image, which is not solvable, and leads a life of its own in the mind of the viewer. Absurd juxtapositions evoke different analogies, varying from perversity to romance, or from deep philosophical issues to pure slapstick humor.
Wow. Did you see what that photo was actually called, that painting? Watch the name of it. It's going to pop up on the bottom over here somewhere.
Absurd juxtapositions evoke different analogies, varying from perversity to romance, or from deep philosophical issues to pure slapstick.
It's called The Spell.
Absurd juxtapositions evoke different analogies, varying from perversity to romance, or from deep philosophical issues to pure slapstick humor. The painterly technique results in
modification. Just off key, I'm telling you. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
an anachronism with its contemporary subject matter and composition, creating an ongoing tension throughout his works. With these early works,
Holy Child, that previous one, American actress.
the Belgian painter was already in search for the human condition. He aimed to depict a state or archetype of the 20th century human at
The Advantage.
the turn of the millennium, confronted with its existential character entering the 21st
The Consequence. Just a hand. Looks like he's been severed.
century. These works would kickstart his international career, in
The Covering.
particular since 2004 and onwards.
Time Warp.
Michael Boremans is represented by Zeno X Gallery in Antwerp since 2002 and by the Mega Gallery David Zwerner since 2003. The level of these galleries say it all. His career as a painter took off almost instantly. From this point, he would exhibit at multiple major institutions, year after year, up to today.
Journey to life.
Up to 2010, one notices Boremans' ongoing up to today. Up to 2010, one notices Boremans' ongoing examination of the painting as beautiful lie. He depicts different micro-realities in his works. The discrepancy in size indicates the distinction between a constructed, imagined, or sub-reality and actual reality. Or, maybe Boremans indicates there is no actual reality at all, as we are wandering in a world with no truths.
See, these are hedonistic beliefs. That you do whatever you want in this world, because there is no world to come. Once you're dead, and that's the end of it.
For a postmodern society.
And now you're going to start to see the hedonism to its fullest degree, because you'll notice the artwork that he's going to start producing of peoples or persons. They're in a state of what I would say, they look like they've given up, or they're weak, they're frail, fragile. Do you know what I mean? Or even afraid.
Notice the ongoing development in these early works, as the master continues to perfect his trait. At first, the source material for his work were often collected images. Then the artist started to produce his own reference photos, enlarging his control and radius of action. Notice how his technique improves as well. With the years, his paintings become more and more photographical, or rather cinematic. Simultaneously, his brushstrokes and technique are more and more reminiscent to Velázquez, Caravaggio, or Rubens. During this period, his production was confined to just a dozen of paintings every year, or
What's this?
less. Michael Boremans was in search for something special in a painting, something one cannot plan or pursue in a structured manner. He destroyed hundreds of works because they did not deliver
Man's drawing dead birds.
what he was looking for. And sometimes the painting was perfect. A knife in the eye, where everything falls into the right place.
Now this one caught my attention quite interestingly. Is anyone familiar with the movie The Mask and the lore behind it? Have a look into that as well.
For unexplainable reasons. From 2010 and onwards, Boremans would start to take on larger canvases. His oeuvre starts to reach its absolute peak, as his technique and visual language are perfected. Boremans starts to produce paintings with a monumental scale, altering the manner in which he depicts his characters. The central and static positioning of the figures in the pictorial space, as well as the used color palette, create a more distant and a more chilling sphere than before. Positioning of the figures in the pictorial space, as well as the used color palette, create a more distant and a more chilling sphere than before. By stressing the sculptural potential of the figures, the reference to the photographic image fades. Lone figures in
Why would you draw a child like this? Like, I don't understand.
pensive or semi-conscious states, are depicted squarely in the center of the compositions. While their faces are mostly obscured, a psychologically charged mood prevails. Some are positioned within barren spaces, reminiscent of an artist's studio with planks or canvases arranged against walls, while others are portrayed luminously against dark,
It's got no head on it.
monochrome backgrounds. Titles provide simple but uncertain descriptions, which offer little help for unlocking the narratives. Boremans often pays detailed attention to clothes and textiles. Fabric folds sometimes appear like visual representations of convoluted mental states, and the clothes, themselves, seem to transform their wearers into sculptural forms. As with Boremans' work in general, such paintings emphasize the tension between representation and empirical reality, by extension, to the impossibility of transparent, unmediated perception. As if a comment on the long-standing debate about art's approximation to life, which has been given new significance in the past century, with the implementation of photo-based imagery in the mass media, his works refuse to adopt a hierarchy between the real and the imaginary. In 2014, Michael Boremans would have major retrospectives, titled As Sweet as It Gets, at the Center for Fine Arts in
This is disturbing stuff, you know. I'm just warning you people.
Brussels, but also in Dallas and Tel Aviv. This landmark.
So look at this now. This person's holding a hand in there, like a severed arm, and dancing. And these ones have got blood on them. There's, mate.
Possibility which has been a hierarchy at the Center for Fine Arts in Brussels, but also in Dallas and Tel Aviv. This landmark in his career was also a moment for reflection for the Belgian artist. He aimed to reinvent his own trait and genre, by implanting more audacity in his oeuvre. Boremans would start to work in series from here on. Series such as Black Mold, Fire from the Sun, and Colored Cones, would increase the conceptual character of his works, as he aims to examine an idea or concept even more thoroughly, dedicating up to 20 paintings, or more, for one single idea.
Time to go and pray Duhur. Inshallah, I'll eat something and then pray. Fire from the Sun. Look at this, children with blood on them. Bad art. You can say that again, Aki. That's it, I think. It's just cones now. I don't get the cones. I've been trying to figure these out, but I don't understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that cones are a source of pagans' power. You know what I mean? Okay. Really? Shanghai.
Hello, I am Michael Boremans. I am an artist. Mostly I do paintings, and I selected 7 works. I did an ensemble of 7 works that have an interesting dialogue with each other, in my opinion, for the biennial in Shanghai.
He did what?
An ensemble of 7 works that have an interesting dialogue with each other, in my opinion, for the biennial in Shanghai.
Okay, he did 3 art pieces.
In the selection of 7 works, there are some new works and some older works. And it was interesting and challenging for me to make dialogue between works of different eras in my career. So half of the work approximately have representations of human figures, the others are don't have this element. And some works are referring to plants in an indirect way, to nature, and other works are referring to science and technology. And these two poles are things where humanity is dealing with throughout its history. More and more we go to technology. A work like, for instance, the Large Rocket, to me, that's kind of an engaged work. I don't usually do engaged works, but this is an engaged work to me because it makes a mockery of humanity that has this new religion, which is technology. And
this is his thing. I knew it straight away. He literally gets off on humiliating people or people being in humiliating situations. This is, and I'll prove it to you. I'm not just saying this stuff. Like, don't just believe me. Okay, sadism, the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. This is his source of power. Do you get it?
and a strong belief in it. And we fail to see that the more technology we develop, the more progress we make, the more we lose our connection with nature. And our connection with nature is, of course, crucial. And we have to question technology as well. I'm okay with technology, but we really have to be very critical towards it just as well. And this work I make a mockery of it, like the human that becomes a rocket. And that's also a reference to the circus or the flying human or the flying, things like that. So it's a kind of naive work in a way, but it's really heartfelt. Well, titles are.
You see me, my brain works differently to people, you know. Yeah, 24 to 54. Bismillah, there shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. What version is this? King James. I don't know what version this is though. It's the King James version. Let's do this one. I think it's RSVA. No one shall be left to cultivate the earth or to sow it. The trees shall bear fruit, and who will gather it? The grapes shall ripen, and who will tread them? For in all places there shall be great solitude. One man will long to see another, or even to hear his voice. For out of his city 10 shall be left, and out of the field 2 have hidden themselves in the thick groves and cliffs in the rocks. As in an olive orchard, 3 or 4 olives may be left. What is this talking about? Yeah.
Well, titles have a very significant meaning in my work. Mostly, they're a conceptual element that make part of the work. This is a tradition that starts with the surrealists and Magritte and etc. So it's some heritage in that direction. Most of the titles make part of the work in the sense that they can lead you or mislead you, and you don't know. This is a very different kind of title, which I used for the first time. It's an abstract title because I used numbers which are abstract. The reason for this is that I didn't want to denominate the subject in the painting. It is not really clear what the subject exactly is, and I just wanted to keep it that way. I didn't want to mislead either, so numbers are very neutral. Where the numbers come from is of no importance. I can tell you, but it's really of no importance, but I had to find. So it was based on a picture I took, and it was the exact hour in seconds. And the date is not even included.
I don't believe that for a minute. I don't believe that for a minute, mate. You shaitan.
The introspection in my work happens, I believe, subconsciously. And the whole atmosphere in my work is not, I never was looking for this, it just happens. And it's always a bit, how do they call it, dark, alienating or strange. But sometimes I do this on purpose because a little bit, but even when I don't do it on purpose, it happens. I always say...
It's because he's a dark-natured human being, that's why.
That if I paint just a simple subject like a glass of water on a table, it will still have this ambience that my other work has. Because my work always makes the question emerge, why did I paint this glass of water? Because you always sense it's not nature that I'm painting. There's something else to it. But it's that just happens.
Look at this. What a baffled and confused human being, man. Subhanallah. Wow, there's loads of videos with this guy talking. But anyway, yeah, do your own research into this shaitan. It's good to know. Definitely good to know. But yeah, I'm gonna call it an end to the stream there. Mashallah, we've been going for 1 hour and 21 minutes. I appreciate you, Joe, and everyone else that's tuned in. Peace, love, and respect to all of you. Yeah, and if you're not a Muslim already, may Allah guide you to the truth, inshallah. Yani, if the devil's real, shaitan is real, there's no denying that, then Allah is very real. But I'm not using that argument because I retract that statement. Allah exists off the simple basis that everything around us exists. That's it. Wa alaykum salamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.